All right, we are live. Hi, Sonali.
Hey Nancy, how are you?
So happy that you're able to join me on this particular live stream. Um, for folks on the stream who haven't met Sonali yet, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Nancy, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm Sonali. I'm a program management leader with over 15 years of experience in the industry. Throughout my journey, in the professional IT industry, I got an opportunity to work with different industries and different companies. Uh, Recently, my experience, I've worked for with Google and Meta, focusing on operation excellence, how to efficiently run operations, and and also on the software deployment part, how efficient, what tools and processes we should have, and how efficiently we can run, business. So not to just run the business, but how efficiently we can run the business. Early this year, I decided to deep dive a little bit more, and uh, you know, I have my own company. Uh,
Yay!
So yeah, I decided to go full on and have my own company, Shune. And Shune basically focus on establishing best program management best practices, how efficiently we can run our business processes, operations, and also gain some operation excellence and return to the business. Uh, Shune also focus on training professionals who are helping just help navigate their career and also up level their skills in program management. And so yeah, that's about Shun, and this whole package triggered uh, told me to also launch my course on Maven, how to uplevel your career as a program manager, which is coming up next week.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna bring up the QR code. Uh,
Yeah.
Tell us more about what you're teaching in this course.
Yeah, definitely. So as I was mentioning earlier, this course it's this course is like consolidation of all the experience that I've gained over working for different industry and companies. Uh, Early this year, when I started to deep dive into the company and what I can offer, I did a lot of research. Talking to different like 50 plus program managers and also the students. Considering the this mass layoff, there are a lot of disturbance, I would say, in the market. So what I found that people are doing job, but they some people are just stagnant at their job for a long time. They are looking for strategies and execution framework, how they can up level their career in terms of skills, what skill set they need to stand out in the crowd. So that's exactly the course focus is like what are the key must have skills that as a program manager you need to up level your career or as a professional, and also learning more about the framework and strategies that you can apply day one in your job to make an impact. And let's say you have both the soft skills and tactical, how you execute things later part when it time comes for your promotion, how you package yourself, that what you achieved, what your accomplishments are, what are skills that you have learned over time. So how you package yourself so that when it comes time comes to for your promotion, it should not like it should not be a like a second thought for anybody. So that's the package of the overall course about.
I love that. I love that. Oh, where did the chat go?
I think
Sorry, give me one second. Let me I don't know. Okay, I'm not able to bring up the reason. But for folks interested in growing your career and program management, make sure you check out Sonali's course. And we'll be talking about some of the core concepts and dissecting the differences between program and product as we go on in this stream. I want to start highlighting some of the questions that we've been receiving. So keep on commenting, and we would love to talk about the questions that we have from our friends who are able to join us. So the first comment we received is it easy to transition from program to product, and why so?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say yes, it is easy to transition from program manager to product. Because as a program manager, if you look at how the org is like typical org in any company, like is structured, the program manager is kind of interface between your product and your engineering team downstream, right? So the is mm, like working as an interface, there are a lot of visibility that as a program manager, working as a program manager, you get into product, like what the product strategy is, why we are building this what impact this product is going to make, what are the use cases and the pain areas that this product is going to address. So you having that visibility is definitely help you to get a lot more insight into product, which later on, if you decide to make a move, you do have those little bit knowledge already have in place, the basic knowledge in place, and also know like what it actually requires for you to get into product, what skill set, and for you to get familiar like what you're signing up for eventually. So I would say that visibility closely working with product team for a while, you already know the ground what it requires, so that makes it a little easy to get into in the product domain. Uh,
How
so
did
yeah,
how did maybe we can start by talking about how we came into our roles. So Nali, how did you become a program manager? Let's start there.
how I become aware. I mean, definitely it's a journey, right? I started my career as a developer like 15 years back, but I was always interested to to always have a say in the table, like how what drives this program. If somebody coming with with a project or initiative, I'm always curious, like what makes the companies or the organization to decide that this is the right program for us to do, rather than just be on the execution seat, just to also get an awareness, like why this program exists and why we should be doing it. So I slowly started, shadowing my manager and, started picking up like small projects with a low impact initially to just have a flavor of it, what it looks like, the program management. And yeah, I mean, I started with a really low projects and like a small projects, and my interest and, deep dives just get me into like, decided that this is a field that I want to go with, because there are a lot of things, the brainstorm that you start with, and eventually the product, the results that you see that make an impact or solve a specific problem. I really enjoy that part, and that's why I'm sticking to this field for a long time.
That's great. What you said earlier about whether it's easy or not to switch between program and product resonated with me. Not because I came from program, but what you said, where when you get to work closely with the product team, then you pick up a lot of new concepts and you see how they work firsthand versus someone who has no access to that information. So how easy the switch is relative, right? If you don't have any context, if you don't have any knowledge, it's of course really hard. But when when you know what the new role is and you can learn alongside that team, the switch becomes relatively easier. But again, it's all relative. For me, I made the switch from engineering into product. Um, and it was because I was able to learn what a product team was doing and how they worked, which definitely helped with the transition. So just wanted
Exactly.
to add to that.
Yeah, definitely. Because otherwise, I have seen people, who would just try to get into just from a very different world, like who never worked for a product and just try to get into product. I guess even if they get it, it's just very overwhelming for them, like the pace, the skill set that is required into product. So yeah, interfacing with closely with product will definitely help to make the transition easy.
Yes. All right. So we have another comment. I have a lot of background in program management. I would love to learn the basics of how it differs from product. I understand that there's a lot of crossover, but from what I've heard, product managers usually work closer to sales and marketing.
Yeah, you wanna pick it up and then see on the product side.
Um, this is actually the topic that we had planned to start with, so this is very timely. How it differs from product. Okay, so let me start by just a quick 60-second summary of what product management is. Product management is, and this is a quote from Shreyas Doshi. He says product management is making successful products and making products successful. When you are making product successful, this is going from 0 to 1 when you're creating something out of nothing. Um, and when you're making product successful, wait, did I say it the other way around? Sorry. The first one is 0 to 1. Um, Making successful products. Yeah, that is creating something out of nothing. And then the second part of the job is making products more successful. That is when you scale from 1 to 10 and from 10 to 100. So that is an overview of what product management is. And when you dissect that, how do you make product successful, or how do you make successful product? There is an element of execution in there. So when you break down that statement and that definition, first you have to define the problem. And there are a lot of problems that we could solve, but which problem is the right problem? That is first part of building products. And the second part is the actual building. And program management is all about how do we build the product in the right way, in the most efficient way, that has operational rigor and excellence to it. Um, I, do you want to chime in to what
Yeah,
program is?
definitely. No, I'm 100% aligned, Nancy, what you just said, because these two roles, and that's definitely, the topic for today's session, that how why it's important for both product and program management, these two, fields to work together for the successful product, right? Because product, the main responsibility comes in, the strategy, figuring out what the right product is, right? What the pain areas, how we can address customer and the add value to their life. But strategy is one thing, but without having the
Mm-hmm.
proper execution in place, the strategy is incomplete. So it both roles are tightly integrated together, and it is really critical that they should be tightly integrated. So whatever the strategy comes, we decide as a product management, right? The program can take it forward to best how effectively and best they can execute upon on that strategy to deliver the best outcome, right? That is much more impactful on time because strategy is valid. There's a timing factor to it as well, right? Because if somebody you are thinking, somebody else can also think. It's a very competitive market. So the strategy is valid and effective with the right timing. So that all comes onto the program to ensure that they're executing effectively within the time, within all the constraints that they have with the budget, resources. So yes, I agree. Like strategy and execution, they have to go hand in hand for
Yes.
the success of the program.
There is a quote, and I can't remember who said this, but the quote is there's a difference between being a visionary and being delusional.
Yeah,
And the difference is in the execution.
yeah,
Without the execution, vision, no matter how great that vision is, you become delusional without the execution. Okay, so the second part of this comment is from what I've heard, product managers usually work closer to sales and marketing. Um, I would say that is the case. Yes, because sales and marketing comes into the picture either in the very beginning of the process or at the end of the process, not in the middle, not during execution. And as Sonali already said, program is mostly focused on execution in the middle of a product lifecycle, which by definition means sales and marketing are not involved.
mhm.
Hopefully that was clear. With that, let's also jump to the questions that were submitted when our friends were signing up for this session. The first one, which is what I think we already covered.
Yes, yeah, I think we covered this.
Um, Oh, not actually, not quite, because we talked about the difference between program and product. So this is a good follow up to that question. How program managers can effectively collaborate with product owners and product managers for overall program success?
Yeah, I guess this is definitely related to our previous questions, how that part works, right? So it's for the both product and program, right? From a program management perspective, it is important for program manager to understand, why, like the why of the product, right? Why this product exists, why are we doing that, like a big picture, not just simply getting a plan from product and say, hey, this is what, the issue that we have been seeing in a lot of orgs, that the strategy comes from product, let's say, and it comes to program without that vision. I guess that is, so how effectively they can work is having the vision in place so that program can also understand, like, this is a program and why this program exists, what value this is going to drive. So having the visibility of that big picture is really important to for an effective, streamline both the verticals. That's one thing. uh, that big picture will also help understand, what the right strategy, like execution strategy, should be to deliver this product. So from my end, I would definitely say, like, have visibility to that big picture and impact, and what is the expected output that we are looking out of that product is really important to be clarified between product and program. Also, sometimes, I've seen there's a lot of confusion between roles and responsibility, what product does and what program does, right? So clearly stating out the roles and responsibility of both the verticals also helps to make sure there's no confusion down the line and everybody's aware what is expected out from the respective team.
Um, Sometimes program managers' scope is actually way bigger
Hmm.
than the product manager's scope. And this is where program is brought in, is to make sure all the product managers are in sync with each other. And I would say this is where program adds tremendous value, because as a product manager, we're looking at one particular product area, but we're oftentimes just one piece of the puzzle. For an entire program to be successful, oftentimes multiple product managers are involved. So program actually spans multiple product managers. In this case, product needs to understand that product and program are different, and that program can be really, really wide. It could also span all kinds of external vendors that product managers don't have visibility to. So to work well with between product and program, we have to understand the view of the program is oftentimes wider than the view of product. And how does one product hand off to another product area? That is where program comes in place. So for both roles, it's important to understand what is my view and what is their view. And like Sonali said, program needs to keep product accountable for articulating that vision and that strategy really well, such that every member of this work stream understands. Sometimes the pain point with product is we think the vision is clear, or we think the strategy is really clear, but without clear articulation of it, it might not come across as clear as we think. So this is where program can really come in and hold us accountable to make sure that everyone, all the cross-functional partners, understand what we're supposed to do.
Right. I would also add one more thing, Nancy, on that front. That both product and program, yes, they have to be tightly integrated. But if you look at product, the way the processes and the methodologies that product uses to come up with a product vision, right? Or the program manager comes up with a program execution, the overall project plan. The the processes and the methodology is a bit different, right? I've seen sometimes that the program is like a lot more process oriented,
Hmm.
right, with a lot of, let's say, documentation as an example in place, right? There's a step by step process to get to a project plan, for example, right? Uh, the so both the teams should appreciate how these two different vertical works, because sometimes the product says, hey, I don't need these, why we have to go with this step by step process, let's say, as an example, right? It does have some importance and a weightage to do it, and that's why we're doing it. And same is applicable for program as well. There definitely some methodologies that product team also follows to get eventually to the big picture.
Hmm.
So I guess having that awareness for both the teams also helps to effectively
Yes.
collaborate, appreciating how they work, both the team operates and why they operate in such manner. I guess that awareness is also very important
Yes.
uh, to streamline both of
Yes,
them.
I love that. Really understanding why we have to do things a certain way. And this goes to all the different cross-functional partners on the team. So
Yeah,
every role on the team operates slightly differently. Um, and we all need to understand how to operate in this cross-functional environment.
right.
Cool. Now let's jump to the second question that came in as part of the sign up process for this live stream: career trajectories in product and program.
Yes. So program different program management. I think I will mention there's one study that PMI chapter Project Management Institute did um, last year, and as per their study, what they says is there's a need, and probably you guys already saw that study and surprised with the number. There's a need of 2.1 million folks to enter into program management each year.
Wait,
That's the
sorry,
need.
what was that number?
It's 2.1 million.
2.1 million.
Yes, that's the number. This is a study that PMI chapter, institute did last year. So as it's basically 2.1 million people have to enter into program management domain. If and by because there's a need by 2030, if it's not happening, because there are so many projects like critical projects across different industries are running, and if we don't have the right skill set in the industry, it's going to have a major impact to the our overall economy. So that's the study says. So in terms of career trajectory, program management is definitely growing. It's a growing field, and the flexibility in the program management field that you get. When I say flexibility, is basically is industry agnostic. So program management, if you look at all the methodologies and processes, they are very standardized and they can be applied to different industries. Definitely, you have to tweak the solutions and depending on the challenge and the business that you are in, but majority like a 70-80%, the methodology and process are very standard. So you do have a lot of flexibility later to change to different industries, to different specific focus areas if you want to move on, and different levels as well. So that's what I would say for a program management is growing. There's a lot of need in the market, and plus with its agnostic industry agnostic nature, uh, it's a good career path to go with, because you have full freedom to move around in different industries and roles.
I would also add that, and this I learned from Lenny's podcast, the
Hmm.
concept of ladder versus map when you're thinking about your career. A lot of times people feel like a trajectory should be a ladder, but it doesn't need to be. If you think about trajectory as more of a map, then that opens up creative ways and additional ways that you could grow in terms of managing your own career. So the difference between a map and a ladder is you could try different roles or different domains or different types of companies when you're thinking about your career, not necessarily what we call, climbing a corporate ladder. So of course, the ladder is there if you want to stay in that particular role in that particular company. You could certainly climb or stay in a similar domain, but that's not the only way to manage your career. So I would just add that as another point for all of us to consider. My personal journey has been a generalist approach to product. I started in B2B enterprise and B2B startup, and I went to work on internal tools, and then worked on Facebook groups. And then most recently, I was at Roku, which is a streaming company. So I've tried all kinds of different domains. By definition, I'm a generalist. But there could be another version of me where I'm just, sticking with one domain and becoming very specialized, um, and becoming an expert in that one particular field. Like that is one way to grow your career as well. So it really doesn't matter, product versus program. The general mindset is there's a ladder approach, there's a map approach, be open minded, have fun with what you want to learn. In how many years do we work? Like 50 years? Something like that. Just have fun, um, and really understand yourself better in terms of what your superpowers are and go after the areas that feed into your superpowers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, to be honest, product and program. I mean, in general, I would say both of them are growing. It's totally depend on what you really want to do,
Hmm.
what their strengths are, and how whether you choose like product and program, how it aligns with your overall career goal, where you want to be. But yeah, both definitely the domains are growing and in this market.
Great. So let's now go back to the chat because we have a new question. What's the difference between technical program management and normal program management?
Normal, I like the term normal program management. I
What
don't
is
know what is
considered normal?
I don't know what is considered normal, but for sure. Today in the industry, we do have two roles under program admin, like is a technical program manager and a program manager. You know, I'll definitely tell the difference, but it varies company to company who you work with, and also with the industry as well, right? In general, if you are pick program management, program management as a program manager, you focus on larger scale programs, defining the let's say the roadmap of those programs, how to like mainly focus on the execution, how best you can deliver that program within all the constraints that you have with in terms of resource and budget and whatnot, right? So that's the program manager. The expectation definitely is not there that you'll be definitely working with cross-functional team, but not necessarily the doing any like technical design, for example. That's the expectation there from a technical program manager. And again, I do want to reiterate, it differs company to company. If you are with FANG, let's say I was with Meta for 5 years, as a TPM, the expectation is definitely there that you'll be closely working with the engineering team, right? Help them. You have the understanding, that you can understand at least the system level, like a high API level design, architect, architect the engineering team builds. So that's different the expectation there as a TPM to understand the high level system architectures, be able to communicate, with engineering to understand their language, how what they are talking, but also because you are interfacing with a lot of cross-functional partners who are non-tech or even the leadership and product team. So you are then is an interface to talk in engineering language and also translate that language further, which leadership can understand, who are not technical at all, right? So that's the key difference between a technical program manager, that the system level design, technical architecture, that the skill set is needed. But as a program manager, you may or may not be part of those technical discussions, but you're focusing on much more on the execution strategy side, how best we can manage our resources and deliver the program overall. But
Mm.
again, depend on the company. Some companies does have a technical program management as a role, but but still doesn't involve any technical participation as such. And that's why the interview process, even when you get into the company, your day-to-day job differs as a TPM or PM to totally drive from the company and team.
Have you seen a case where on the same project there's a program manager and a technical program manager? Have you seen that before?
Uh, Not in my experience, but I've seen, like, if I take my example, right? If I go by the role, my role was program manager, but coming from a computer science background, and also understand the high level technical stuff. I was part of the engineering discussions and those system design discussions. But that's totally by choice as such. What I really enjoy working, but just not as such clearly defined. But I've never seen, like, you have, because there's an engineering manager who takes care of that technical discussion part.
I just remembered one example where I've seen not necessarily
Hmm.
one technical program manager and a normal program manager together, but definitely multiple program managers
Hmm.
on the same project. And
That's
that,
possible. Yeah.
yeah, um, basically it happens when the project is really, really wide.
Hmm.
One of the products I worked on was launching an experience on the Roku homepage to celebrate the launch of Weird Al the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, and so there's a marketing team that was driving the launch of Weird Al the movie. But that is within the scope of just launching the movie and making sure all the marketing activities are aligned. Now, launching that experience on the Roku homepage is just one element of the many, many different aspects of marketing overall for the movie, right? So, in that case, there's I would say, a more technical program manager that is kind of driving the launch of the experience on the Roku homepage because there's a technical component. But
Hmm.
that technical program manager was definitely working with the marketing program manager that was driving overall marketing for launching the movie and not just launching on the one surface of the Roku homepage. So oftentimes you would then have to work with multiple program managers in charge of different aspects of a launch that could be very wide.
Yeah, exactly. And these terms, are very confusing. Like I was saying, engineering manager. So for the same project, like in Meta, I have like an engineering manager and a program manager. Engineering manager is like what you just call out here. You're focusing on the technical piece, uh, and
Right.
then program manager is more of the execution. So yeah, it differs company to company, teams to team, but in general, the technical program management, yes, definitely the expectation is to have you understand a little bit, not like actually writing the code as such, but high level API discussions that you should be able to do for engineering. You can do the assessment. So if engineering team is coming back and say, this is that one feature is going to take, right? This is the effort level of effort looks like. So you should be in a position to like make a rough, evaluate that part and negotiate if needed, because eventually you are also tracking the timelines and when those things can be delivered, right? So having that, a little bit understand technical understanding will help you to evaluate the right level of effort
Mm.
and drive the conversation with engineering team. And also, and if it's totally like justified, you can just give that justification to leadership and product team why this feature is going to take that long, what are the complexity involved. uh, so yes, that's why it's really needed.
All right. Keep the comments coming because we are kind of going back and forth between the questions that already came in as part of the sign up versus the live questions that are coming through right now. So keep on commenting. And now let's go back to the questions that came in through the sign up. Where was it? There we go. How can program manager transition to product? I have seen a lot of people transition from becoming a TPM to a PMT. And why is that the case?
So I'm assuming TPM is like technical program manager and PMT is like product manager in technical.
Yeah. In this question, PMT is product manager, comma technical.
Okay. Yeah, so starting with the how part, right? How can
Mm,
a program manager transition to product uh, manager? I would say there are ways to go about it. First thing, as a program manager, if you're really interested to get into product, start shadowing, any product manager, right? And also figure out which specific, even under product, right? Where exactly you want to see yourself, like adding more value or what interests you. For example, even in product, like you have different types of product manager, I'm sure, Nancy, right? Who focus on strategy, who focuses on understanding the market very well. So if you start with like shadowing a product management team, figure out what fits you, where you fit best, based on your skill set, based on your strength, and how what it aligns with your career goal as well. So shadow is definitely help the transition smooth. Also knowing the nuances like what product management actually requires,
mm.
and you know yourself, you know what you're signing up for, and it's not going to be a surprise when you eventually get into that. So I was highly focusing on shadowing. I started with the shadow part with the from to the further transition. Um Talking about the trend, why yes, I sort of agree with this. There is a trend, why there's program management. People are moving from program management to product, and I think there's a certain percentage of people. I would say like a percentage of people who probably like a lot more creative, like enjoys build something from scratch, let's say, right? Because when you are working as a program manager, right, you have a lot of power when it comes to the execution power. You have a lot of decision making power to decide how the plan should work. uh, but you are not as such, let's say, creating the product itself, right? You have the product visibility, what why this product is there, but and you are taking it execution. So a certain percent of people who enjoys like the creativity part and build something from scratch, I've seen those are the folks transitioning from program to product. That's definitely one part of it. Um, Another, I would say, like people who are really interested to have their say or their input into the product decision making part, right? When the decision is getting made on the product, what product we should come up with, right? That I guess they really interested to have that spot on the table to provide their input, what product we should build and how we can differentiate ourselves. So that's another bucket of people who considering transition to that field from program to product. And I guess the fraction of people I would say, because product has been as a high for last couple of years, I would say so. The really fraction of people I'm noticing, and I saw myself my time in Meta and Google, that they don't know like a lot of nitty-gritty about details about the product, but just because it's a hype, they would like to just try it out and see where they go. So I would categorize into three parts, like people who are really moving towards from creativity execution to creativity, and not saying they're not creativity in the program management, but the creativity towards adding value to the product is what they're looking for. That's one bucket of people. Another is the decision holding that decision power to actually provide direct input to the product, which as a program manager they may not have a direct input towards the product features. And the third is just going with the flow or the hype of product that we have these days in the market.
So I would say if the intent and the desire behind the pivot is driven by the hype, that is my least favorite reason for supporting said switch. Um, I feel the best reason to switch is it's based on how well you understand yourself and why you think the switch makes sense for you. That that would be my number one advice for anyone who is desiring to pivot into anything, and I'm not just talking about from program to product, it's any time when you're trying to pivot, you have to be very clear in why, and why it makes sense for you and why now. And if you're able to articulate that, and make a connection with either the hiring manager or your potential future team, that is going to make the biggest difference if you're able to articulate your why. And your why is different from anyone else's why. Okay. And then I want to add to what Sonali said about how can a program manager transition to product. In addition to shadow, like what happens when you shadow is you're learning about how this new function operates and what they care about and what motivates them and what pain points they face. Now what? Right? Now that you've gained new insights and new learnings, you want to apply that to your existing reality. So let's say you learned that, oh, product managers are often faced with this one pain point. Then in your reality, can you relate to the reason why they're feeling that pain? So for example, maybe the pain in product management is there's so many opinions on the table, we have to converge the team. For example, that's I'm just making that up as a uh, common pain point that product manager face. Now, uh, suppose you're wanting to pivot into product. How might you solve that problem if you were a product manager? And then if you face that in your job as well, how do you handle it? So that is basically a follow-up to Sonali's advice. When you shadow, you're going to learn how do you apply those learnings to then add to your personal story on what makes you a good candidate, right? It's now that you understand what the new role is, how do you apply it? And let's say product managers often spend time on talking to customers and understanding their pain points and understanding their motivation. Can you also do that on your job? And then you want to put it into practice, basically turn the knowledge into actuality,
Yeah,
is
I
what
mean,
I
I
would say.
would say the use that shadowing time, as a dry run or a pilot run for yourself. Try it out. How what are the like evaluate what the differences are between program and product. How the day to day workload or the work differs between product and program, and use that time as a pilot program and uh, you know you will be in a really better position to make the right decision whether you are really wanting to get into product or you know you'll be able to have a better idea what it looks like, what it takes, and make the right decision for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's say you notice that there's a gap in a product area that is lacking strategy, but it hasn't been a high priority, so the product team hasn't picked it up yet. But now that you know, maybe you could come up with that strategy,
Right.
because you know that there's a gap, and it's not that it's not important, it's just not right now. But so now that there's a gap, you could actually fill that gap, and now you have actual experience, and now you could use it when you're talking to hiring managers and recruiters. All right, so we have a comment from the audience. Let me bring it up. What advice would you give to someone that has been a generalist, bouncing between project, program, and product? Some say it's a good thing, others it's a bad thing. Sonali, what do you think?
I mean, I would just bring it back to your comment, what you mentioned last time. Like, it's totally there's nothing good or bad, right? It's totally what you really want to do, right? What your interests are, right? Whether you pick a being a project manager, program manager, product manager, right? just try it out and see what you really enjoy working. And that's what I will say. Like, it depends person to person. There is no data that can suggest, hey, product, there's these three, like product is better than program or program is better than project. There is no data behind it, right? It totally what aligns with your interest and where you fit best.
I would say so there's a sentiment in this question that maybe it's a bad thing. Because if it's a good thing, I don't think you would ask this question. So I'm just going to assume that there's a feeling, at least underlying feeling that, oh, maybe this is not a good idea. Oftentimes the this type of feeling is resulted from an external source, so other things or other people or the world happening outside of us is affecting us and making us feel not so good about something that we have done. Oftentimes what is really needed is focusing inward. Like, do you believe it's bad? And if you believe it's bad, why is that? Like it, but if you believe it's good, then there's also a reason why you believe it's good. So my own career story is also generalist. Like I've done B2B, B2C, and then switch around. And by no means I'm not an expert, just because I'm not a specialist, because I've jumped around so much. I don't think it's a bad thing at all, and I believe in it. And that's the most important thing, is to get really clear in your core values. And this is nothing to do with the external world. It's what you believe in inside. And if you believe in something really strongly, you stand behind it, the world resonates with you. That's how I would look at a question like this. Okay. Next question also coming in live. How would you recommend bridging that technical gap for a person from non-tech background?
I guess I will start again with the why thing. First is definitely before you enter, like how would you make a decision that you like your comparison point between program and technical program management? Because the reason why I'm stating that, because I've seen received queries like this. Hey, I feel like managers, TPMs are a better role, just because of probably they get better salaried, or better than program management. And how do I get there, right? The first question I definitely ask, like, what you want to do. I guess that's the first question. Do you enjoy working on the technical stuff? And if the answer is no, I guess then you know that TPM is not the route for you to go. But if you have that answer with you, that yes, you want to go into the tech, and now how do you get there? I would suggest there are, first of all, start with the system design, because that's definitely one of the things that pretty much every company expect, and that's definitely what you end up working in your day-to-day job as well. High level system designs, how the API, different systems like your input, output, and different APIs interact with each other. What the considerations that go into the process. How would you decide make trade-offs from one system over another system, uh, like implementation strategies, right? And there are like a lot of courses available, like to have that foundational courses for the system design that you can consider doing that. That's one part. That's a good start, right? um, Second thing is, even in your current role, right, if you feel there is a project that is happening, and you are interested in that project, uh, just chime into the project, like talk to the engineering team, where like just sit with them, shout out with them, and say what exactly they do when time comes to designing the architecture of a system, what that conversation looks like, right? I get that shadowing would definitely help you understand the level of effort and the conversation that goes behind, the brain power goes behind to come up with a different architecture. uh, I get that visibility is needed to bridge that gap. Like shadowing is one thing, and accordingly pick the the technical courses which can help you understand the give you a high level foundation knowledge for the system design. So if you start there, just on a system design level, I would say that's a good start. And slowly, you will just learn on the way while doing the actual job as a TPM.
The second part of this question is by doing projects.
Yes, by
That
doing
was
projects. That's what I
absolutely
said.
yes.
Absolutely, yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So you start with shadowing, and if you find let's say a project which has a small technical aspect to it, where you can add value to it, definitely, like, don't hesitate. Just start there. That will give you a practical experience what it takes. Ask for help if you're stuck somewhere, right? And that's how you slowly build that technical uh, knowledge and expertise along, while you're also learning the foundation knowledge through different courses and books. So I guess it's you have to run, if you really wanted to get into an TPM, you have to just run like several parallel threads, I would say. Shadowing is one, by doing the project by yourself is another thing, and also like different courses and material that you can go with. And that at some point you'll be there to have that like right skill set uh, to just manage large scale programs even, and have broader conversation on the technical aspect.
Great. Let's see if we could answer two more questions. Program managers can use AI to
Definitely.
augment themselves? Question mark.
Definitely. Yes, I guess AI is the future. So yes, program managers definitely use AI. I would say there are a lot, as a program manager, there are a lot of work in your day to day work, which is, like I said, repetitive, right? Like scheduling the meetings, driving the leadership, like status reporting, for example, right? Sending the meeting notes. So AI can definitely be leveraged for the repetitive task, I would say. That will help, reduce a lot of workload from program manager plates. AI can definitely leverage on that front. But when the time comes to make trade-offs, for example, because as a program manager there are a lot of time you have to do prioritization, make the right trade-offs, and that's where I still feel the human intelligence is still needed to make the right decision. So yeah, it's a hybrid mode that we'll have to go into, where AI can take care of all the tactical stuff, which is much more repetitive and kind of like overhead work for program managers that they do today, to give back some time back to the program managers, and they can focus much more on strategic and trade-offs and decision making part.
I would add that AI cannot replicate human connection.
Yep.
It could definitely automate. It could summarize and derive a lot of insights from huge amounts of data. Like that's all really great. When it comes to human connection, it takes a human to connect with another human. And there are aspects of the job that is fostered because of human connection. So for those things uh, that not only depend but is better with human connection, AI cannot replace. And also, when it comes to execution, it's not a robotic thing. Sometimes how we execute also comes from inspiration. When we're inspired, we might think outside of the box and figure out a better way to execute. Inspiration, um, like we can theoretically leverage AI for inspiration, uh, but AI could just give tons of ideas, right? AI could be really creative and could give you 1,000 ways of doing something, but how do you cull down that list of 1,000 ideas, or which one of the 1,000 ideas actually resonate with you and this team? Like that, maybe AI can get there one day, but certainly not right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even in future, AI can definitely put program managers in a much more better position with providing all the backups, like the data, right, to make the right decisions. But like you said, the human touch when it comes to driving alignment, where the influence, like influencing somebody is important to drive those buy-ins, right? Like that will still need that human touch, like somebody to make the right decision. But yes, AI can support very well with the right data set, all the research, uh, that part. I guess taking away that load from program manager plate will give a lot of time back to focus on the much more the human touch and strategic part, which is really critical to a program success.
Absolutely. Okay, one last question before we wrap. How to grow as a program manager who's already into the space without doing any certificates?
You won't believe this is a frequently asked question. Hey, can I do certification because I want to get into program manager or management role, or I want to up level myself? Um, the answer is that yes, you can certainly do certification, right? But does it actually going to solve the eventual purpose? Let's say up level your career, for example. I guess that's the answer is, in my opinion, I would say no, because certification definitely helps you to put into the right framework, to have the right structure in place, give those basic knowledge the that you need to start your career with, right? To get familiar yourself with the program management, different processes, methodology, what program management is all about, why it's needed, right? And what are different processes and right way to go about it. That framework structure, definitely the certification will help you. But even if you don't have a certification, right, you can still learn program management in your job, because a practical experience, I would say, practical experience is has a lot more high weightage than certification, because there is no cookbook, even in certification books, that will say, hey, if you ever have a scenario in your project, like where the delays are happening or not, there's no right or wrong answer. That decision you have to make while you are on that project, right? And every project is unique. So unfortunately, fortunately, there is no cookbook. So I would focus on much more on getting a practical experience, either in your current job or like any job, like a project that you have in your cross-functional team, that have a lot more weightage as compared to doing certification. But again, certification, if you see, I do need a basic structure in program management because I'm doing this job, but probably I'm not doing the right way. Yes, certification can help you bring that structure in place. And it's definitely a good value addition, like PMP kind of certification is a really good value addition in your profile as well. If your focus is to switching jobs, yes, you can do that. But whether you will be able to successfully run your project after doing the certification, that will just come. That knowledge is like practical knowledge and experience that you will learn over time.
Absolutely. Plus one to that. And for those who are interested in connecting with Sonali, make sure you scan the QR code and learn more about her up level your career as a program manager course that is coming up this weekend. Sonali,
Yes.
do you have any closing statements you want to make?
I guess, Rab, what I just described, the whole, how you up level a program manager with the real project based case studies, what the right framework and execution strategy should look like, what skills are needed to effectively run your day to day job and also stand out at the same time, is a combination of all that knowledge that the course will cover. So yes, I'm really excited and looking forward for this course.
Yay!
So yeah,
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you to the audience for tuning in. Thank you for the comments and the questions that you have asked us, and hopefully this event was useful and insightful. I hope to see you all in our next live stream. Thank you,
thanks.
Sonali. Thank
Thanks,
you, everybody.
thanks everyone for joining in. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.